Okay, great. So today's topic is one of my favorites, and basically it's called Master Money, Earn Their Respect. I'm glad you're in here, Brennan. I think what we're going to do at the end is go through your numbers, which is a real gift because I think a lot of people can take that away, like the tangible aspect of what we're teaching, and then implement it with themselves, right? So just FYI, when I do this for my people, usually we do a financial 360 in their bank statements. We look at their assets, we look at their liabilities, etc. And usually I charge anywhere from 5 to 10 grand for this. So it's pretty cool. I think that you guys get access to this for free because of EXP. It's just another value, Culhane Groups is bringing to you guys. I'm really excited to share it. And let's kind of let's get into it. So today what we will cover is the mindset of how successful people think about money and how you should think about it the same way. We're also going to talk about why conventional wisdom about money, savings problems, spending, etc., is wrong, and what you should focus in on instead, which is income problems. And then lastly, which is probably the most, I would say, the most beneficial and the most exciting concept is implementing your 7-figure financial foundations. That's what we're talking about today, how to create your $1 million brand. So we want to get your personal net worth to 7 figures or more. So I'll ask this. I think we have a few in here. Brennan, who else is in here? Jana?
I'm seeing Jana, and Jeff. These are the only other people in
Awesome.
here.
Okay, great. Well, this is good. We'll have a real active, fun environment. So I'm going to ask the two of you guys, what's the last time that you've got a windfall of cash, and what did you do with that money, Brennan?
I mean, anytime I get a real estate commission is a windfall of cash. So I try to, invest a portion of it, but definitely save a portion of it. So I'm like, my emergency fund is replenished. I want to have like 3 to 6 months worth of expenses at all time. So I replenish that, and then if there's anything left over, then it goes to investing, and that's the way that I think you need to build wealth.
Smart. Jana?
Bought a house and bought some EXP stock.
Bought a house and bought some EXP stock. Okay. Now here's another question. Did you guys buy EXP stock in your retirement account or just a regular trading account?
Both.
Trading account.
Yeah. And so what I would encourage you, because EXP is going to be your foundation, obviously, for your guys' career, is really start pumping up your IRA contributions and own the majority of your stock in your retirement account. The reason I do that and the reason I don't like small trading accounts is because you're taxed heavily on trades, especially in a regular trading account. So keep that in mind. Majority of your stock, if possible, it should be owned in your retirement account so you avoid huge taxes. So the reason I asked that question is because if I were to ask that question to 100 successful people, this exact same question, you would notice a very predictable pattern in the answers that they give. So how successful people think about money is this. Most people in the United States and beyond look at earned income and looked at money as a consumer tool, right? It's a means for consumption. I buy food with it. I buy cars with it. I buy trips with it. I buy a roof over my head with it in the terms of rent, mortgage payments, etc. In other words, if I have $100 in my wallet, I have $100 to consume, shopping, gas, eating, etc. Successful men and women look at it as a tool for creation. So if you guys have a notepad in front of you, I want you to write this down on your phone. This is really important. From here on out, millionaires, billionaires look at money as a tool for creation, not as a tool for consumption. So write that down. That's a big important one. So in other words, if you have $100, how can you use that $100 to create more money and financial value for you and your family's life, right? It's easy to say things like this in theory and kind of nod at it and go, yeah, that makes sense. But the difference between most population in the United States and why only 5% of the United States population are millionaires or more in personal net worth is because they implement this theory over time and consistently. So, how do some of the most successful people on our planet today utilize, think of money, and implement, right? Here are some things they use their money on: building their businesses. So, for us, we're building our businesses through EXP, and I would assume you probably have other auxiliary income through investments, maybe through rental properties like me, which is the majority of my income, maybe through different venues that pay you hopefully on a monthly basis. So businesses, great thing to invest in. Invest in yourself, your EXP business. That should be number one. Number two, most people don't do this, but this is really your ticket to millionaire status or beyond. Buying cash flowing properties. Your goal as real estate agents, because you have a skill most people don't have, is to buy properties, live in them, and after you live in them for a period of time, rent them and utilize that rent to buy more and more properties and just keep doing that system every 2 to 4 years. That's how I made a lot of my money. The next thing they spend money on is they allocate every dollar that comes in towards a specific purpose. And I'll ask you guys, Brennan, when you make, let's say, a $25,000 commission, before you get that money in, is every dollar allocated in a certain way?
No.
No?
No.
Why not?
Not that savvy, I'm guessing.
So you got to look at money as almost like little soldiers out there trying to fight the war of your financial success, right? Jana, when you get a big commission, do you have all of that money pre-planned before you get the check in the bank?
Pre-planned. It doesn't always go as planned, though.
I don't plan on my commissions, Michael, till they actually hit.
Yeah. And so, Marta, when you get a big chunk of money in, let's say a commission or something like that, do you have those monies allocated prior to you getting the money in?
I try to separate out first off tax percentage of tax of that for taxes, and then some for personal, and then the rest goes back into the business account.
Okay, good. Yeah, and so the main takeaway of all this is we're going to go into more of a deep dive because Brennan was lucky enough and forward thinking enough to send me some of his financials. So with your blessing, we'll go through that at the end, so you guys get a great idea of how he's allocated his money at 29. And maybe some things he could do differently to be making even more money. And maybe you guys can piggyback off that. But basically, your life undergoes a dramatic positive change when you change your mindset to proactively seek out ways to make more money rather than more ways to spend it. One of the biggest problems in my 20s is every time I made a chunk of cash, I was thinking about, I want to buy that Porsche. I want to buy that Rolex watch. I want to go on this trip. I want to consume it. And those things were eating away at my time. I don't know if you guys are guilty of that yourself. Pop your mic on when you make a big chunk of money and you're looking on, the Google or whatever, and you're looking at watches or Auto Trader or looking at cars. Have you guys been guilty of that? Pop your mic on.
Personally speaking, for me, Michael, I don't have that urge. I'm so thankful. Maybe it's just because I'm like a squirrel collecting nuts for the winter, but I don't have that urge at all. I don't look at luxury items or material items even.
Then you're on a really good start. What about you, Anne? Are you guilty of that, looking at nice things after you get a big check?
Oh, I am somewhat, but I can be kind of conservative with some stuff what I want.
What about you, Jana?
Yeah, well, I can't lie. I like to reward myself for a job well done. So, and I am a little bit of a foodaholic and other things like that. So yeah, I love to shop. So it has to be one of my real goals to not do that. That's some of the things that I commit to myself is I'm going to sacrifice those kinds of things for a period of time because yeah, I'd like to have something nice after working hard.
Yeah. It's important to reward yourself, but it's also important to reward yourself with money allocated for reward. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Marta, are you on?
Yes, I just favorited a bunch of handbags on a website. I'm not going to say which one, and then I closed the browser so I wouldn't send it.
So the issue with doing that, there's nothing wrong with desiring a beautiful handbag, whatever. The problem is when we spend too much time thinking about that consumer piece. Now we're thinking about things that aren't adding to our net worth as opposed to things that are. And so I would almost do a mind hack and trick you into thinking, consume your mind with things that will make you a lot of money. And so for me, what I became addicted to by choice, it wasn't innate, was I just became addicted to going on RMLS and basically looking at property that I knew I could buy and then live in and or rent out. And that became my addiction as opposed to looking at cars or watches or trips. And I realized the more I could acquire of that, the more on the back end I could acquire of any of those consumer items. But basically,
So cool, Michael.
yeah, and you're doing a good job, Brennan, and that's why I think it's really awesome that you sent me some of your financials, because the first thing you guys have to do, and I jumped on Ann about this, who's an amazing, smart realtor who's really has the savvy of wanting to learn, but if you do not know, you're not going to grow. So what we talked about last time is you have to start tracking your net worth. Brennan did a good job of getting on Excel and starting to do that. So I would recommend all of you on the call start to do that. If you haven't yet, send me an email and I can send you a template for that. DM me on Instagram or whatever, and I can send you a template of that via email so you can start doing that. Because when you start tracking your money, it almost becomes a report card for the game. And one of the things that Brian loved that I had to say is I said, we have we have report cards when we're kids, right? Your kids come home, they bring you an A, they're so proud to show their parents. As adults, we have report cards too. Most people don't know it, but our report card is our tax return. That's number 2 I want you to write down. Your report card as an adult is your tax return. And so you want to look at that report card similar to you taking AP biology, similar to you taking an English class, and you want to ace that report card as much as you have, because similar to course structure, that's going to propel you to the next echelon of your financial life. So think about that. Now, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Are you proactively looking for ways to make more money and become financially more successful? Jacob, are you on? Judd, are you in here? Okay, then we'll look at Ann. Ann, are you proactively looking for ways now to go out there and make more money?
I am, actually.
How are you doing that? What are some of the steps you're taking?
Well, this will be news to you, but I just purchased a house in Tempe.
Hey, congratulations.
I know, I haven't told you yet because it just happened. I mean, it hasn't closed, so.
Good job.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be talking to you about that.
Awesome. Hey, virtual high five. That's awesome.
Yep, thanks.
What about you, Brennan? Are you looking for ways to proactively make more money?
I am. I'm always spotting opportunities. I always see the margin and everything. I'm always, running the numbers in my head. I have picked up an investment property this year as well, so that's one of them. But yeah, always looking for ways. Unfortunately, now I'm kind of jaded where now I'm in like the most high margin business that there is. So getting me to do anything else is hard to do because it's like there's nothing really worth more than your time than just, either cold calling or talking about real estate. There's no other business that pays better, really.
Well, the only business that pays better is for you owning your own real estate empire. And that's the thing. Like those two merge so well into one another. And what I always tell people, and Brian says this too, so does Glenn, you got to be in the right vehicle. But the right vehicle, I've looked at every asset class, crypto, gold, stock, whatever it is. And in real estate in prime areas across the United States, backed by the United States government with great debt structure, is by far the best investment you can ever make in your life. And when you start duplicating that and that income starts to pour in on that drip every single month, your net worth starts to really explode. So the second thing I would say is this. When you think about, okay, I'm doing all these things proactively to make more money, is that attitude ingrained as a habit in your everyday activities? Or is it something that you just think about periodically? Anne?
Well, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. What about you, Brennan?
I'm definitely thinking about it every day. It's the implementation that's more of the art form. Getting to do it every day or practice it every day is the other piece.
And so what I'll start talking about when I get into your numbers is every single day money needs to be in motion. That's the third thing I want you guys to write down. Money is a living, breathing organism. And I don't care if you're transferring $5 a day or $1 a day, it needs to be moving towards accomplishing a goal. And that's what I got wrong in my 20s. I didn't realize if by me moving $100 a day or $500 a day into either A, paying down more debt, or B, stacking up cash so I could go buy for a down payment on another rental property, those small deposits every single day became habitual, and that added to my net worth. So I want you guys to start incorporating that into your morning routines before you even start getting out there on your day, basically. And then I'll go to Anne. Here's the other big question. Are you financially where you want to be right now?
No, definitely not.
What about you, Brennan? Are you financially where you want to be right now?
No, I want that cash flow.
What about you, Jana?
Wait, nope, trying to unmute here. I am not there.
What about you, Marta?
No, not there.
That's good. Because the truth is, I don't know if you ever watched the follow-up movie to Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps. They're in the room, and when Shia LaBeouf's character asks one of his colleagues, he says, "How much money is enough?" And the guy just simply says, "More." Because money is not a numerical value. You don't stop, right? Once it's ingrained as part of your life, it's not an idea of wanting to consume more. It's an idea of adding a tool to your arsenal every day, every single moment of your life, so you can do more things that you enjoy and help a lot more people. So that's basically what we're going to start talking about now. From a real basic bottom line level, right? When you look at basic finance, you have an asset column and you have a liability column. What are assets? Rental properties, your business, things that are generating income, stocks, bonds, CDs, etc. What are liabilities? Car loans, mortgages, lease payments, credit card debt, student loans. And I really want you to think about your life. Be honest, right? Understand this is a language you have to understand. More important than learning Spanish, French, Russian. This needs to be right there next to English as a language that you are fluent in. And I want you to ask yourself a question. When you look at your life, do you really have an understanding of what are assets in your life and what are liabilities? Anne?
Yes, I do.
And that's because your husband's an accountant. You're cheating.
Exactly.
What about you, Brennan?
Yeah, I believe I do. Yeah.
What about you, Jana?
I can always learn more.
And here's a real simple, basic way of looking at it, right? An asset is something that provides future or ongoing financial benefit. Think of a real estate property. An asset is something that is paying you monthly, that is growing your net worth exponentially over time. If it doesn't fit in that category, it is not an asset. Just remember that. And a liability is simply stated as an outward flow of money that is owed to someone else. Accounts payable, interest payments, credit cards, etc., right? So what does it actually take to master money? It turns out the most conventional advice is totally wrong. You know, when you look at a lot of people that tell you how to make money, etc., a lot of the conventional ideas revolves around saving money, right? The problem is in today's savings rate, you're not making any money in an interest-bearing account or anything like that. You have to be really proficient in the best asset class there is, which is real estate. Thank God we're all realtors. But you look at all these sites, right, and it's convoluted with ideas like buy fewer lattes, set a more lean monthly budget, get rid of credit cards, cook at home rather than eating out. But here's the problem. While all those things add to your budget every single day, they're not attacking what the real problem is in your life. And the real problem is not saving more. The real problem is to assume that your income is always constant. You know, we look at, as realtors, usually our income is very unstable. Would you guys agree with that? Pop your mic on.
Yes, yes.
You get big chunks over time. In time, you don't even know when you're going to get that money, right? So it's really hard to have a smooth ride throughout the year. Are you guys familiar with that feeling?
Super familiar.
Yeah. And it sucks, right? Creates a lot of stress, creates a lot of problems, creates all those things. And you look at your tax return, and let's say you're just starting out in the industry, or you did decently, and let's say you made $60,000 last year, right? So your budget revolves around $60,000. But here's the big, whoa, brain blow up moment. Who said you only have to make $60,000 a year? Your income does not have to stay where it is, because if you take that $60,000 a year, you pay your taxes, you use money as soldiers on the field of battle to slowly add a bigger and bigger drip. What the takeaway is, when you grow your net worth, I want you to turn your 60 into 65, 70, 80, 100, 200, 300. And over time, because you are tracking it, it's a lot easier to do that, because you kind of understand, okay, last year I made X, this year I made X plus $5,000, etc. So what I would really have you focus on is this. Instead of focusing on the expense side of the equation, I want you to wholly focus on the income side, right? The income side is where you guys have the biggest struggles if you're not where you want to be monetarily. And the expense side, you're in fear mode because you're not making enough income. Pop your mic on if you agree.
I would agree, Michael.
Agree, for sure.
Good way of putting it.
And so here's the thing. Like life, we're going back to mindset in the past two classes, where there's people that have an abundance mentality and a scarcity mentality. And money needs to be an abundance mentality. Money follows those that love it, that respect it, that grow it, that use it. Use it not to hoard, but use it to actually grow into more things, right? It's almost that old adage, again, going back to those Wall Street movies, Money is, like a beautiful lover, guy or girl, right? You don't pay close attention to it, it may leave and never come back, right? And that's the thing. You got to make it a priority in your life, not in a bad way, but in a good way, to say, this is something that I have, I'm going to grow it and make it into something more. But money magnetically gravitates to more money, right? And so when you start changing that paradigm to abundance versus scarcity and start taking daily action in the morning throughout your day, saying, how do I do my daily routine where it makes me more money every single day? I don't care if it's 50 cents, $1, $2. The whole way you start thinking changes and more money starts flooding into your life. So here are some ideas that I want you to think about. How many of you have a budget? Raise your hand, pop your mic on.
Yeah, I got one.
What about you, Jacob?
Yeah, we do.
What about you, Jana? You have a budget?
No.
No. Well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that budget, have it, but just say, you know what? This isn't important. And instead, I want you to create your own cash flow statement. Do you guys know what a cash flow statement is? Pop your mic on.
Yeah, I don't know if I've filled one out in a while, but I believe I know what it is. I can definitely Google it.
So again, simply, you don't have to create it really, difficult. All it is on a weekly basis, you have in an Excel spreadsheet the money that you have coming in every single week versus the money that you have going out every single week, right? Your bills are on there, commissions are on there, maybe a birthday is on there because you're going to get a check from your grandma or whatever is on there, your car payment. So when you pop up that Excel spreadsheet, which is different than your net worth statement, okay, it's Monday. I got a bill due Tuesday. I got money coming in Wednesday. And you start thinking, as opposed to that scarcity mindset of a budget, it's more of a cash flow management mindset as I'm growing my net worth. Here's the difference between the two. A budget looks back. A budget says, oh shit, I just made $5,000 this year or this month. How do I allocate it, right? A cash flow management statement looks forward, saying, I'm going to make a lot of money this month, this next month, etc. How do I allocate that money in the right way? A budget almost says, what did I do wrong? I spent too much money going out to, a nice restaurant. Where a cash flow management statement says, what do I want to do now? What is something that I can plan for, let's say 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, a month from now, where I have the money, I have the cash flow coming in, I'm going to reward myself with a really nice dinner out. A budget is restricting. How many of you feel restricted on a budget? Raise your hand, pop your mic on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where a cash flow statement gives you choices and freedom, because now you understand, okay, this week I'm banking this week I'm spending this. And so you're really planning your weeks out, which turn into months, which turn into years, and it gives you more freedom without feeling restricted. A budget is about tracking, right? How many of you have monthly budgets? Pop your mic on.
Yes.
Where a cash flow statement is more automated, right? If you're creating your infills and your outgoing, model every single week, I know, okay, next Monday, I got $500 coming in, and next Tuesday, I got to pay out $200. That means I have $300 on those 2 days that I can play with and put maybe towards my down payment for my next rental property, or put towards advertising, or put towards a client appreciation dinner, or whatever, right? That's what I want you guys to start thinking about. When you look at money models, there's kind of an old way and a new way. The old way is what we're all trained to think of when we're poor, and we were all in it. I was in it for 10, 15 years of my life before I started thinking in a new way, is think of these two things. Write these down because these are important, right? An old way. Money is scarce. It's hard to make money. How many of you have heard that from other people? Pop your mic on.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? As
Yep,
opposed
sure.
to someone like Glenn, someone like Brian, maybe someone like myself, money is abundant. There's an infinite numbers of ways to make more of it. You probably heard that, right? From richer people. Correct?
Yeah, it always seems to come from richer people.
Right. Because they understand the mind is the magnet through these steps, through your net worth tracking, through your cash flow management that are getting you to the next goal, right? How many of you have heard this? The amount of money that you make is fixed and it grows slowly. How many of you heard that from an employee making $50,000 a year working at some corporate job? Pop your mic on.
Yep.
Yes, for sure. How about the corporations are evil, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's a common one. But think about this, right? When you're talking to an entrepreneur, guy or girl, they always say your income is 100% within your control. And if you want more, you can make it based on taking massive action. I mean, this almost seems like a regurgitating record that we hear at EXP all the time, right? That's the new way of thinking. Instead of thinking money is fixed, think money is with 100% in my control, right? Okay, here's another big one. Old way versus new way. People that are making not a lot of money and that have a scarce mindset, aside from saving a small amount, you're taking out your savings, you're putting it into your 401k or IRA contributions. Maybe you have $100,000 or maybe you have $1,000 emergency fund. A lot of people try to grow their lifestyle and they're slammed against the wall because they consume the rest of it, right? How many of you have friends in high school or college that worked, made $100, and the next day they were broke because they went out and bought pizza, beer, maybe took a trip to the river or whatever? How many of you have fallen into that category with friends that you've seen? Pop your mic on.
I grew up around these clowns.
Yep.
Yep,
All the
definitely.
time.
So here's the important one, right? Here's a new way of thinking. Whenever you have a surplus of money, you have to think of it as this is a tool for me to make more money. Invest in assets, invest in your business. Live below your means only to free up as much cash flow as possible to accomplish these goals in the long term. So you're living below your means, maybe establishing a budget, even though I don't like that word, but more importantly, establishing a cash flow management system to create the means for you to make the next down payment for your home, to make the next down payment for maybe recruiting another agent, to make that next payment for your taxes or your next contribution for your IRA or whatever. Those are the types of things that you need to be thinking about, right? And here's another old way of thinking versus new way of thinking. Your net worth grows at a slow, linear pace, right? If at all. This is the poor mindset. So the only lockstep with excess is basically your job, right? Oh, I got to get a promotion. I got to get a higher paying salary job. All those people are trading their most valuable commodity, which is time, for an invaluable salary, which is not enough to get them to financial freedom. Would you guys agree? Pop your mic on.
Yeah, for sure. They're just like barely investing, and it's not going to equal anything by the time they retire.
That's exactly right. So what you have to do instead is, as your net worth grows exponentially, because you're buying more passive income, you're buying more real estate, you're paying off your debts, you're investing in your company, you're buying more EXP stock through your retirement account, you're doing all these things simultaneously. Let's just take that first example. That's 60 grand a year, hopefully will be 65, then 100, then 120, then 150. And before you know it, in 5 years on paper, you are a millionaire. It doesn't happen overnight, but what it is just constantly leveling up, right? And here's the big one. This is what I really want you guys to take away. The old way of thinking and how you can tell someone is poor, not just in their heart monetarily, but also in their mind, is they have a lack of financial confidence in themselves, right? They lack confidence subconsciously, and it shows to other people their value is lower in society. And that is the biggest trap that we cannot allow ourselves to fall into. Your financial self-confidence needs to be extremely high, thereby giving you more optionality when it comes to going out there and growing your business and in your personal brand, right? So here are some specific steps you need to take in order to kind of revolutionize your perspective on money, build your 7-figure financial foundation, and help you, on that goal to becoming a millionaire and beyond. So your 7-figure financial foundations, I want you to write these down, are 4 foundations that I think will be really helpful for your lives and things that I did as well in my life, right? Foundation number 1 is this: your unique attributes. What is it that is unique about you that brings value into the world? How can this be monetized? What do you think about that one, Brennan?
I mean, my brain is scrambling to figure out what kind of unique attributes I have, but yeah, I'm writing it down. I'm writing this all down.
What about you, Jacob? Can you think of a unique attribute that you have that can make you money?
I'm gonna have to put some thought into that. I'm sure I have some though.
What about you, Jana?
I was just thinking about how my whole life, the unique attribute I've had is coming from 2 different cultural perspectives. My father's Caucasian, my mom's African American. And so I've lived in those neighborhoods. My whole family is a huge global mix of different cultures, and I have a love of different cultures. Half of my family lives in West Africa, so
that's unique.
I carry that.
That's unique. What about you, John? Do you have a unique attribute that you think you can monetize? Marta, how about you?
I'm not sure. I was thinking maybe I have a tendency to help newer agents learn and give them tips and all that. And I guess I could mentorship program.
Absolutely.
Other than that, my background is in banking and accounting.
That's unique. You have an understanding of money that not a lot of people have as far as a baseline perspective, right?
Yeah.
So that's good. So here's foundation number 2 that ties into what we talked about: tracking your net worth, understanding, okay, I have a budget, but my cash flow statement is more important than my budget. So foundation number 2 is cash flow, right? Grant Cardone will say, if they don't know you, they're not going to flow you, right? And he says it's not what you're worth, it's what your cash flow is. I want to grow cash flow. So the second question is, how can you take this monetizable attribute that you have and start generating more cash on a monthly basis? Maybe that's EXP. Maybe that's recruitment. Maybe that's selling one more house a month. Maybe that's taking some of that money, saving up and buying an investment property like Ann just did. Big kudos to Ann, who's no longer on the call. And that's the thing, right? What are those things? Cash flow. Foundation number 3, you got to understand investing. Most people have like a 4th grade education between risk and investing, right? Do you guys understand how to understand the value of risk and why being rich for sure is much more impactful than taking a big risk and maybe striking out, or as opposed to, having nothing or hitting it big? Do you understand the difference between those 2 things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not touching crypto right now because I don't understand it, and it's all like smoke and mirrors in my mind.
Exactly. Right. So your goal as you start investing as a foundational 3 aspect is invest in what you know. What do you know? You know real estate. You're doing this as a career. It's one of the best vehicles that has made me and other people millions of dollars. Invest in real estate. That's what you guys know. And it's a great, safe play to make money over the long term. Now, EXP stock is a great example of betting on yourself, right? There's a lot of fluctuations in the stock, and there will continue to be as we grow. That's just macroeconomics. But I encourage you, think of it as I'm investing in myself 5 years, 10 years from now, right? How do I create less risk with a designated return that I know if I keep doing this over and over and over and over and over again, it's going to pay out in the future, right? And the last 4, this is the foundation number 4, so I want you guys to write this down. Consistency. That is the golden goose of success. The most successful people, if you guys ever read Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, right? Takes 10,000 hours to be a master at something. And the only way you become a master at it is you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So I'll tell you my morning routine. Every single morning, Monday through Sunday, the first thing I do when I wake up, make a cup of coffee, pop open my laptop, and I look at my cash accounts. Grant Cardone does this too, by the way. And the second thing I look to do is where can I put this money where I'm paying down debt? I'm establishing a fund to buy more real estate, and I'm looking to grow my net worth. And I take 20 to 30 minutes every single morning to do that. So one way I'm doing that now is I owe $290,500 on one of my mini investment properties. And my goal is to throw $1,000 a day at that property for the next 2 years to pay that thing off, because that will free up another $5,000 a month in free cash flow, which will add to the drip of my net worth. So start thinking about that. What is your morning routine? How can you create that consistency to look at your soldiers every single morning like you're going to battle and saying, where do these guys need to go today, right? You guys like this so far? Pop your mic on.
Loving it, Michael. Thank you so much.
Good stuff.
Good.
I like looking at the cash accounts every morning. I definitely don't do that, so I'm going to start doing that.
So to conclude, we'll do a quick cap, and then we'll start jumping into Brennan's numbers so you guys get a good idea of what we're talking about, right? People who are extremely successful in the financial game totally play a different game when it comes to making and accumulating wealth. They're doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. They're looking at cash flows, and they're looking at growing their income and their net worth, right? Expenses become a real big problem when you're not having enough income. So when you focus on using your unique gifts to grow your income, your expenses and your budgets become less of a problem. That's why most people don't have an expense problem if they're smart. They have an income problem. So don't focus on the result, focus on the solution, if that makes sense, right? Now, here's the big takeaway. What do Bezos, Glenn, Warren Buffett, Brian, all of these guys do to think differently, right? They look at money as a tool of creation rather than as a tool of consumption. That's a big line I want you guys to understand. Money is a tool for creation, not a tool for consumption. And if you did well and you want to reward yourself, that's cool. If it ties into your cash flow statement, if it's not a big burden on the ultimate goal you're trying to achieve, which is financial success, right? Now, building your 7-figure financial foundation doesn't mean you need to become a billionaire overnight, right? It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of luck, takes a lot of consistency. But if your goal is to create that, maybe you want to be, you know, the richest person in your family, right? In your family tree, change the lives of the people that you love. That is going to take that consistency every single day and chipping it away at it, right? So invest in yourself, invest in tracking your net worth, your cash flow statement, and start doing what Ann's doing, I'm doing, Brennan's doing, Brian's doing, and start looking at that earned income, transferring it to down payments into your passive income stream to be buying real estate that's going to be paying you every single month for the rest of your life. And the reason I know you can do this is you guys are real estate agents. This is what people pay you to do on an everyday basis. Why aren't you doing it for yourself? This is what set me free, and that's why we're here to set you guys free as well. So now with that, let's jump into Brennan. Do you want to go over kind of your things and tell the audience kind of what you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you like want to pull up the Excel spreadsheet. We could do that if you want. But Michael last week was just, you know, giving us so many nuggets and everything, and I was like, okay, well, I know what my net worth is pretty roughly in my head because I'm, you know, looking at my different apps or different trading accounts or whatever, but I was like, I definitely don't have it in an Excel spreadsheet. I'm putting everything else in Excel spreadsheet, like when I'm doing my taxes, when I'm, you know, putting in agents' names and clients' names and everything, tracking everything else in Excel. So I'm gonna do the net worth tracker, sent it to Michael. So got an index fund portfolio. I'm a huge fan of index funds. And that's basically my plan. And I'm going to sell that eventually one day to buy more cash flowing real estate. That's kind of been the goal the whole time. So I have an investment fund portfolio. And then I also just bought an investment property in San Antonio, Texas, using Alfonso Camargo with our team here. I'm sure you guys know him from the Closers Club. So shout out Alfonso. And then EXP stock, obviously. And that's, I believe, the majority of it.
So what I'll do, this is a fun thing. As opposed to me giving this to them, I kind of want people to do this on their own. So if you guys have like a piece of paper or your phone, let's create this so you guys can duplicate it in your own lives, right? So we'll go through this. Are you cool with that, Brennan?
Yeah, not a problem. I want to try to create as much value as possible. Everybody is afraid to like start down this path because like I've been hearing for years from my friends, like, I'll wait till I get a raise and then I'll start saving, then I'll start investing. And it's like, I think you need to really start when the amounts are small and then you'll be disciplined when they get big. And so I just think you really need to start, even if it's $10, $50, $100, like just get in there, get the habit going.
Absolutely. So the first thing when you guys have a piece of paper or your phone, write down assets and put a line under it, right? We're going to go through a basic net worth sheet. All net worth is your assets minus your liabilities equals your net worth, right? It's very simple. So assets, put a line underneath it. Now underneath assets, write checking account. All of you have a checking account. Brennan, in his checking account, he has $6,000. So put $6,000 next to it. Okay? Everyone have that? The next thing you're going to write down, which most of you probably have this as well, is right under checking, write savings account. And Brennan has $2,000 in his savings account, right, Brennan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the next line underneath that, some of you may not have this, but you should as an independent contractor, is an IRA, right? That's your retirement account. So next to IRA, he has $52,000. Now, what kind of IRA do you have, Brennan?
Roth Ira.
Okay. And do you know what your yearly contribution you can put into that for a Roth?
It kind of goes up every year, but I believe this year it's 6,000.
So here's another example, right? I can tell based on him choosing a Roth what his income is, right? So as you're making more money, most of you will probably choose to do a simple IRA because you can attribute more money into your retirement and offset your taxes. So just keep that in mind. Okay, next thing, in his personal brokerage account, he has $10,000. So put 10,000 next to his brokerage account. Now, under that, other real estate, he has $202,000 in other real estate. What is other real estate for you, Brennan?
So that's just referring to the investment property that I just picked up. That's the value of the investment property 202. That's not the equity that we have in it. That's just the value.
And you own how much of that property?
I own 40% of the equity.
Got it. And then he has EXP stock underneath that. He has $70,000 in EXP. Man, you're going all in on EXP, huh?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's been the best performing asset I've ever bought. So yes.
Awesome. So if you add all that up, I'll do it for you in his asset column. You have $342,000. Is that correct?
That's higher than I thought. Okay, I'm trusting your math on that one.
Well, I just read off your alignment, so hopefully
right,
this
cool.
is just your assets. We haven't hit your liabilities yet.
All right.
So the next thing, next to underneath all of those things, skip a few steps and write liabilities and put it and underline it, right? Underneath liabilities, put mortgage. And next to mortgage, put $148,500. Hey, Brennan, mute yourself while I'm talking if you could.
Okay. Oh, mute it?
Just for now.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
And then so mortgage, $148,500. That's in the liability column. And then underneath that, his rent / normal things is $525, right? Brennan, pop your mic back on.
Sure.
Now, this can't be all your liabilities. You have to have more. What about insurance? What about food? What about all these things? Like, what are your monthly expenditures in regards to that?
Yeah, so I do have like a monthly budget. I haven't incorporated both those documents together properly, but I'd say I spend like $1,100 to $1,500 a month probably on my monthly budget with everything.
Okay. So let's just say $1,500 times 12. That's $18,000 a year in expenses. Does that sound right?
I would say I spend less than that.
Wow, man, you are living on a rice and beans budget. I don't know how you're doing it.
Nobody can compete with me. I can outlast anyone.
Wow,
and
you're a star.
I'm very content. I'm a very easygoing person. I don't need much.
Well, that's good. Well, to make numbers easy, if let's say we take $19,025 for other expenses, write that underneath rent, right? And right next to it, write $19,025. Then his total liabilities are $158,050. Okay? Mute your mic, Brennan.
I'm sorry.
All right, so what does that mean? Well, it means we're going to take $342,000 in his asset column, and we're going to subtract $158,050. And anyone have a calculator? What's that number? Pop your mic on. The answer is $183,950. You guys have that number? Pop your mic on so I know you have it.
Yes, Mike, I got it.
Okay, great. So,
Sure.
yeah, that's Brennan's current net worth, $183,950. Now that he has a baseline, he's 29 years old. Most 29-year-olds have less than a $20,000 net worth. So you're doing a really good job. Congratulations. And your guys' numbers will be worse. They'll be better. It's not a one size fits all, right? That number is that number. But here is what's most important. Brandon now has a net worth statement. And again, he can share it with you or I can share it with you. And now for the month of October, he can write down his net worth is $183,950. So next month, he is going to track his net worth. And the whole goal of this is for that number to go up. And every month for the rest of your life, Brennan, as you track your net worth, you know, you may see next month 184,000, the following month 190,000, the following month after that 200,000. You get what I'm going with it?
Love it. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So as you track that, you're going to feel the wind beneath you, right? You're going to be like, holy shit, like I'm making a lot of money, because now you're tangibly looking at it. This is your report card for yourself. And you know, next year you'll be worth 250. The following year you might be worth 400. 4 years down the line, if you're implementing exactly what I'm telling you to implement and you're living way below your means, dude, you're going to be a millionaire. And by the next time we check in, let's say 5 years from now, you should own a couple investment properties. You know, you should have good residual income through EXP, through your sales business, through all of these things. And I can be able to call on you and I can say, hey, what's your net worth today at 35 years old? And you're going to say, Mike, my net worth is 2.7545 million, right? You know exactly what that number is. That's the goal. That's the goal I want for you guys. Like when someone asks you, like, what's your net worth? I want you guys to know it like it's your social security number. You know what I mean? Because the more you know it, the more you're able to grow it. So with that, does anyone have any questions? Want to pop their mic on and ask something specific before we log off?
Come on. Last one. Hey,
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go for it.
Yeah, so in regards to like learning about finances and just personal development when it comes to like a net worth and all that, do you have any reference sites or books and stuff we can educate ourselves with?
Well, I'll tell you, from a net worth $0 to $10 million, there are two people that you should be studying. The first is Grant Cardone, who's obviously Elena is part of our group. So read and watch his videos when it comes to net worth. Now, from getting, let's say, to a $0 to $150,000 net worth, I know a lot of people in this room and EXP don't like this guy's name, but the truth is the foundation is intact for lower net worth people, and that's Dave Ramsey. Look at Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. That'll get you to $100,000 to $150,000 net worth, right? Once you're past that, which Brennan is, then you can start looking at Grant Cardone. Then I would recommend reading a book by Alice Schroeder called Snowball. That's Warren Buffett's autobiography. And that'll show you from when he was a young child to becoming, you know, a deca billionaire many times over, the life choices that he made through those 4 attributes that we talked about, right? And I'll go over these 4 foundational things if you guys jumped on late. Foundation number 1 is, what are your unique attributes? What is it that you can monetize about your unique attributes, right? That's foundation number 1. Foundation number 2 is cash flow. Don't focus on budget, focus on your cash flow statement, money coming in, money coming out every week, every month. Track your net worth. Foundation number 3, understand investing, right? So Brandon, that was a great question. Understand investments, start learning from people that have billions on top of billions of dollars, and also learn from before I run, how do I walk, right? Dave Ramsey's a good way to learn that. And the most important foundation, if I can tell you anything, guys, it is consistency. Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. To be a master at anything, you need 10,000 hours of practice. I spend 30 minutes every single morning, if you guys jumped on the call late, looking at two things. One, all of my cash accounts. Two, my cash flow statement. And three, how can I move money every single day to pay down debt or accumulate more assets that pay me on a monthly basis? Does that answer your question, Brandon?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, my pleasure. Anyone else? This is an important topic. Come on, guys.
The money game, people. We're dealing with it every day. Ask away for Michael.
Well, I got another one.
Yeah, go for it. We're here.
Yeah, because like I think on one of the videos or stuff that videos I think I watched from Grant Cardone's like money is losing value when it's just at your checkings account. So what I have some money saved on my checkings account. So now it hit me, that inflation is going up and I'm barely understanding all those points. So it's just like, how do I do it fast enough, or what would you say it's the nearest first step that I can do to put it where at least inflation is not eating my
Yeah. So Brandon, here's a great baseline for you. Brennan touched on a few of these things earlier, but here are two things before you start making massive stacks of cash that Cardone always talks about. These are two baselines. Do you know your monthly expenses every month? Like, what does it cost for you and your family to live every month? $3,000, $4,000, $5,000? Do you know?
Oh yeah, it's about 1,500, 1,800 because it's just me and my girlfriend.
1,800 a month, correct?
Yep.
Okay, take 1,800 and I want you to multiply that by 6. What do you get? Should be around $10,000 just off the top of my head, around it. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, so that number is what you should have at all times in cash. Any financial guru who's worth their weight in salt will always tell you need 3 to 6 months expenses in an emergency fund. Do you have that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So now that you have $10,000, you're really in a good position because now you can live for 6 months and not worry. The second thing that you need to do is, do you have any debts like car loans, student loans, anything like that?
Nope, I don't.
You don't have any credit card debt, nothing?
No, nothing.
Okay. So then the next thing is, how much money do you have over $10,000?
Like a good 80.
80K?
Yeah.
So what I would do if I were you is, do you have a retirement account?
Yeah, I have a Roth IRA, but it's like I wanted to like have it just in case I can go through a like opportunity of a flip or something, because I'm getting my feet wet with flipping and investing. So it's like I don't want to put him at the Roth IRA. So what if I need that money to invest it and then to grow at a rapid pace?
Yeah. Okay, so here's the big question: do you own your own primary residence that you and your girlfriend live in?
I would say so, yes. I'm paying floor because it's like basically in a mobile home. So I would say yes, but I'm renting the floor.
That's not what you need to be investing in. So here's the goal: $80,000 you have to play with to invest, right? What I would recommend you do that's going to really help change the trajectory of your financial future is take that $80,000. Where do you live right now, Brandon?
Tucson, AC.
Tucson. Can you buy a nice house for $400,000 in Tucson?
I would say. Yeah, it's above the average sales price, so yes.
So what I would do is I would look for a home that you buy for yourself, single family or townhome, that you pay around $400,000 for. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Your down payment is $40,000. That leaves you with another $40,000, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that $40,000, what you want to use that for are improvements to the home, like paint, flooring, countertops, your bathrooms, your kitchens, etc. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do a little personal flip, basically.
You do not want to flip it. You want to live in it. And here's why. If you make those improvements, that $400,000 with that extra $40,000 in improvements, that home should be worth in 2 years $500,000. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. Appreciation.
And so what you want to do, what most people screw up on, and this is what I tell all the people that are on my team and, you know, all these other people, is they sell that house. Do not sell it. Rent it. And you can make on a $500,000 house a lot of rent. Pay your mortgage with that rent. You'll have another drip of, let's say, $1,200 to $1,500 left over every single month, and use that extra drip to buy another property. That's how I became a multi-millionaire doing this. And if you want to do that, you got enough cash to get started. In 4 to 8 years, you'll have a net worth north of $500,000 doing this really safely.
Damn, thank you so much for the input. Appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Anyone else have any questions?
This is Brandon Doherty. Michael, can you kind of just through like your net worth tracker and like kind of the trajectory of your career where you started, like maybe had a large hit to your net worth where it grew at a large time, or can you kind of take us through like chronologically some of the purchases that you made to grow your net worth?
Sure. So majority of my net worth I made through appreciation and rental increases. So I obviously have a development company, you know, retirement, etc. But when you look at my tracking, the biggest jump of faith I made was at 23 years old. I bought a $257,000 house, and I put $8,000 down. But what I bought was a single family detached house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, remodeled, and I knew I could rent it for more than what my payment was, right? Fast forward 10 years, that house that I paid $257,000 for is now worth $550,000, and I own that free and clear because I took all that rent and started attacking the principal on the mortgage. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So right there, that's $550,000 to my bottom line net worth. The next thing I did is I duplicated and multiplied this every 2 to 4 years. So 2 years after that, I bought another rental house that I paid $245,000 for with a tenant already in place. Because it was a rental as opposed to a primary residence, I had to put more money down, which sucked, but it made me pay it off faster. So fast forward 8 years from that purchase, that house is now worth $450,000, and I own that free and clear. So now you can start doing the math, right? Now my net worth sits at $1 million based on owning these properties and never selling them, and the rents keep coming in, right? Now I had some movement. I started making some big sales, etc. Made some dumb purchases, bought expensive cars, did all those things, sold them because I'm like, this is stupid. I need to be investing solely in real estate in my business. So if you know Arizona real estate, the next thing I bought was a $500,000 house in the Arcadia area. And this was about 5 years ago. That was a lot of money for me at that time because I was 26 turning 27, right? That was a lot of cash for a 26-year-old. That house today, because of the location, is the house I was talking about earlier. That $500,000 purchase is now worth $1 million because of appreciation and rents, right? And then a couple of years ago, I bought another house for $497,000. The rents have gone up, and again, that house today is worth $850,000. Building a house now for myself, cost basis will be $1,350,000. It'll be worth $2.1 million. So you see kind of on a big level basis, right, how all these small decisions every 2 to 4 years change the trajectory of my life. And that's what I want for you guys, right? You focus on this regardless of how great your business is, which it's going to be awesome. The stock's going to do awesome. Fingers crossed. Your business is going to do awesome. But let's say it doesn't. You still have this to fall back on that will change the course of your life and your family's life forever. Does that help answer the question, Brennan?
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Because the key is you got to do this. This is what I tell all my agents. I'm like, dude, you guys are focusing on your earned income. What I want you to be focusing on is how do you blow up your passive income for the rest of your life? Getting out of bed, what's the amount of money that you're making every single month and growing it over and over and over. And that's the power of the rev share, but that's also the power of cash flowing rental real estate. That money is in the bank. As long as you have long-term leases and great tenants in great areas, you can't touch it. You're not seeing it. And it's a great hedge against inflation. I mean, think about what you talked about, Brandon, earlier, right? You talked about you're losing money with money in the bank, right?
Yes, sir.
And the reason you're losing money is because costs of goods around us are going up. I mean, you guys are going out in the United States. Gas is more money. Food is more money. Restaurants are more money. Everything is more money. How do you counteract that with your asset class? Real estate. That's the only thing that's shooting up even more than everything else around you. So if you have 90% or 80% of your net worth tied up in houses and things that are paying you every single month, you're safe. And you're safe because if the downturn occurs and that value of those properties go down, your rents are not going to go down that much. And because you're not selling, you're not flipping in and out of them, the cash flow is consistent, you weather the storm, and you come back stronger than ever. So that's hopefully that helps you guys in determining, what you guys need to do.
So Michael, do you have like spreadsheets? Because I'm currently on my phone, currently trying to go into the EXP world in my laptop. But do you have any like spreadsheet to kind of like do the net worth statement and all that?
Brennan has one. Hey, Brennan.
Yeah, I can send it to you. I just Googled one real quick. I just typed in net worth tracker, and I think one from like Dave Ramsey or something came up. So just pick that one. There's several.
And a cash flow statement is real easy to create. If you have Excel, all I want you to do is basically on the left, put all the dates in the month, right? And then in the middle, say, okay, these are the monies coming in and out every single month on these times, like these are the due dates, etc. And then next to it, in the third box, put the sources of the money. Maybe it's EXP, maybe it's a utility bill, maybe it's your mortgage bill, etc. So that way, when you pop it up every single day, which you should start to do every single morning, look at your cash accounts. Secondly, look at how you can allocate money to grow your assets, right? If you start doing that, then you're going to look at those two statements, your net worth and your cash flow statement. You're going to go, whoa, like I'm seeing the progress here. I'm seeing my growth. Brennan is going to start seeing his growth every single month, and he's going to be like, this is really effing cool.
Thank you so much, Michael. We should have this conversation in 5 years again or something and see where we're at for sure. That would be exciting.
We got time for one last question. Anyone want to have another question? No?
Nobody else got one. I got one, Michael. Would you consider partnering with me on an investment property in the future, knowing my net worth now?
The answer is no, only because I like controlling my own destiny.
Okay, gotcha.
But here's the truth. And here's the thing, guys. You got to focus on creating your net worth, putting your head down and making smart choices for yourself, right? Do not get distracted by fancy opportunities, JV deals, and all that stuff. You got to get to a point where you have $1 million plus net worth before you start taking those types of risks. So that's a good point, Brennan. Like, for instance, I would do a deal with you, but you'd have to prove to me that you have $1 million plus net worth and can take the risk with me where it doesn't wipe you out if it doesn't work out. Does that make sense?
Totally, yeah. You don't want me calling you every day sweating or something,
No,
for sure.
it's not worth the headache. I want to make sure, again, it goes back to what we talked about last time, equal or more, right? You want to be around people and do deals with people that have equal or more. And so that way you have the same mindset going in and you're not worried like, oh my God, I just lost 50 grand. Where to you, losing 50 grand would be a problem, a big problem. To me, it'd be an inconvenience, but I could live through it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, correct.
That's why you got to focus on your own game. It's like Tiger Woods playing golf. Think about the 1997 Masters when he was in his prime. That was a solo journey to success. Money is no different than that. You guys are on your own solo journeys to success. I'm here to help. I'm here as a resource, but get there and don't let distractions take you away from the goal. Anyone else? Well, awesome. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. This is a lot of fun. Thanks, Brennan, for opening up your financials. Marta, Jana, Jacob. Brandon, thank you so much for asking some good questions. And I hope you guys really liked this. I got a lot out of it myself. So thanks for jumping on.
Thank you. Appreciate all the input.
Thank you.
So much, Michael.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day and a
much.
great week. Start tracking.
Thank you so much.
All right. See you guys. Take care. They like that one.
It was really good. Did you end the streamer?
I didn't do anything. No.